I wish good things to you who's watching this. I am Alexey, and a week ago I had one of the most interesting mini matches in the last few months. The Latvian national Carcassonne team is playing France in round 1 of the European Team Carcasonne Online Championships 2021, and I get paired up with by far the best player in France with a screen name Viv, which is derived from their first name, Vivian. It is a best of 3 duel, and I will be showing all 3 games. And, well, since there were 3 games, you can figure out that this means that I lost at least one of them. So that will be something new for my channel, sharing not only victories but also losses. But I'm not going to tell you at the start of the game which one is which. So in the first game, I'm playing with the yellow meeples, and I start, and we're starting with standard move. I'm just building up the city. Viv takes the road. I connect to the road from this side to harass the city meeple a little bit and to slightly indirectly protect my city from attack. Now that Viv has been able to complete his small city and claim the road, my plans change. I'm not interested in connecting to this road anymore, so it's better to me to separate, and I get just the right tide for that. And this city is already looking more likely to be completed. Now Viv starts a new city over here, and of course I make a dual purpose move, at the same time harassing his city a little bit, also I protect mine from invasion. I like the word invasion. I mean, that's not commonly used in English, I think, but the Brazilian and Portuguese-speaking Carcassonne players use this word. By the way, in the meantime, I drew this tile and I engaged in a little mini battle over here, so it is in my interest to block this spot so that I get a 3+1 advantage. And now I get the first interesting tile of the game. It looks like a regular straight line, but I think here you have a chance to make a quite strong multi-purpose move. So what do you do over here with this tile? I'm going to tell you in 3, 2, 1, and this would have been an okay move as well, kind of starting to block, but the problem with that is that it just takes too many tiles, and there are better tiles to do it than this. Instead, I place this tile over here in order to start to create a platform for attacking this road, and at the same time protect my city from attack from the left. And it's actually now nicely covered and has a pretty high chance of being completed. In the meantime, my opponents completed another city, and I get a city tile, and so I start a new city myself. I could have considered taking a field, but there are better tiles for this purpose, and also I just don't want to leave a city cap lying around. And of course I want to benefit from this tile, both score my road points and my city points. Now I have another interesting choice. So if I make a move like, let's say, this, or this, or this, then it's actually a decent move because it is a field that's likely to have more cities in it. I have this city that can be completed in the future. But still, instead, I chose to make a more standard move, just continue my city. That's really what this tile is for, to add 2 and potentially 4 points if my city gets completed. And, you know, if this field grows out of control, I will be able to fight it later if necessary. Of course, Viv has to grab this field, and now this move pays off. I get this stuff. By the way, it's actually quite important. So Viv had to spend a tile on grabbing this field, and because I did not grab the field and allowed Viv to do that, this gave me the time to start fighting for this road, because Viv could have used this tile to sort of turn the road away down here. Well, now Viv just starts harassing both meeples over here with the same move. Now this spot is somewhat sensitive, although they are still good tiles that fit here. Both monasteries with the road are still in the game, and Viv creates an attacking platform for this city, and then when he completes this city over here, these two spots will be sensitive, so it is a really strong move over here. I get a obvious move myself because I can just join to this road, and I'm quite happy with it. Now Viv has an interesting choice to make. They can, well, if you see the tile that they have, they can either start attacking my city, or they can complete their own, or they can attack this city over here, and they go for this. Now we get the curve, and of course we have to block this spot as soon as possible, because this limits the options for this square quite significantly, and I would be hoping that I can manage to complete either this square over here or these two squares earlier before Viv gets their stuff. Also, of course, in my next couple of moves, I will be trying to block this meeple as well. Now, you might have considered placing a field meeple over here. And that generally is a good spot, but there are several reasons why I did not want to do this. One is this place is still blockable, and if this spot gets blocked, this field would have not much potential for development. Now, the second reason is that I don't have too many meeples in hand, and I might need them for other stuff. There's still all 6 monasteries are in the game. That's something to consider, and there's loads of monastery spots available. So that would be definitely something I would not want to forego. And yeah, generally I would be willing to take a field like this if it was a little bit more easy to expand. Oh, and final consideration is that if I start a field fight, my opponent has the meeple advantage still, and they would be able to re-attack from this side. So that's why I chose to leave it for now and postpone the field fight. Now Viv has another interesting choice with this splitter tile, either fight for my city, which is something that I like, or make the move that I did in the game. They're just trying to grow their field, which is also fine, but this allows me to do this. Another dual purpose move, so of course I get to cover up my city nicely prepared for completion, and all 7 tiles, oh actually no, this one's already out, so 1 splitter tile and all 5 triangles with the field that fit here, they're still available. This means that I have a quite high probability of finishing a 16 or even 18 point city, depending on whether I get a shield or not. And of course I'm trying to take away Viv's road. It's just very long, and yes, this spot is relatively vulnerable. There are still 3 dividers left in the game, so Viv could cut me off. Also, there are plenty of 1, 2, 3, 4, so 4 straight roads are already out, which means that there's 6 tiles that fit in over here, and there are 3 splitter tiles, and also Viv has some decent chance of, blocking this square with 2 tiles. But all things considered, I have more joining tiles than Viv has separator tiles. So of course this is the correct move over here. The road is just too long. And interestingly, if Viv gets this separator tile and puts it over here, then I will, it's not the end of the world. I will have this 2-point road that can be easily turned into a ring road if I get a curve. And also if I place a curve from this side, then it will serve as a nice protection for this square over here, because this will disallow an attack from this side. And on the other hand, if I finish my city over here, and if I place then, if Viv put the divider over here, and then I get a curve, then I will get this blocking platform. So the thing I'm saying is that this move allows me not only to take over the road, if I get it, but if I don't get this road, this meeple is not entirely wasted. And fortunately enough, I draw the connection tile already in my next move, and I have to place it there. Another move that I was considering was just grabbing these 4 points and putting pressure on this meeple, but this move is less valuable because it is on Viv's field, and also this road is just too big and too important to delay anything. Now, the fact that I didn't occupy the city cap is of course obvious. I have only one meeple, but it's not a problem at all that I leave an empty city cap in this situation, because Viv has already a city meeple committed over here, and so if he draws a cap, he would be most likely looking to complete this or to complete this. So this will more likely than not belong to me rather than my opponent. And also, even if Viv completes this city, it's not that bad because he won't do it on his own land, so that would distract some attention from growing his field. And actually, it's quite nice for me that this city tile serves a protection from Viv attempting to re-attack my road. Now, with this straight tile, I'm not sure what I would do if I were Viv. It's like there are not really many good places to use it. Other than throwing out, I think a move that deserved some merit was this. Well, imagine this, but with a straight line. Just killing off a connection spot, or this trying to connect over here and perhaps add one more city to his field. But it's not really a tile that the French player has a very good use for. But he now makes something really radical, and I think it's a mistake. So the idea with this move is that Viv prolongs my road with the intention to get a curve and then stick it in over here and block 2 of my meeples and probably win the game with that. And yes, that's a very high impact move, but the probability for that is not particularly high, because in order for that to happen, I would need to draw something extremely unlucky. So because I can save myself with, well, first of all, if I complete this city, and there's still 6 tiles left for that, but I can save myself with any road tile, either actively over here. Let's say if I get another straight line, or if I get one of those, I get to save myself and block Viv at the same time. Or I can save myself with getting a curve and just passively slightly blocking the blocking square and then further endangering this meeple. So in order for this to be successful, I actually have to get quite unlucky. I have to get either one of the 2 remaining city caps like this, or I have to get one of the 2 remaining city caps like this, or one of the 2 splitters, not splitters, but extenders, or one of the 4 monasteries without the road. And then after that, Viv would have to get a curve. And there are already many curves out. There's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 curves out. So this seems to me a move that more helps me than bothers me. And now, of course, I complete my city, equalize on the scoreboard, and already I have a blocking threat. Now Viv makes something interesting, just connecting to my city, although I more like the move of just adding a shielded tile to this city over here, because shields are valuable, you know, potentially 4 points, and then trying to connect to here with something else. Now, with this tile that I drew, I have a range of interesting choices. So, a noteworthy thing is that it's the last city tile, is the last starting tile, so it's the last tile like this, right? So this means that this spot becomes even more vulnerable. If I can place 2 guys over here, then, you know, this meeple will be completely trapped. But how do I do that? Well, one move that I could have considered is prolonging my road and then grabbing this city over here, starting something where a triangle could fit, and then hoping that I get something over here. Now, the reason why I didn't want to do that move is that it still opens the road for attack from above, and also it makes my meeple feel a little bit uncomfortable. Not that it's a big problem or anything. I mean, I'm ahead on the scoreboard, and this is a 6-point road that I'm just happy to keep as it is. Another move that I could have considered is just putting over here, grabbing 4 points. And as you remember, grabbing 4 points is rarely a mistake, but I think in that case it would have been, if not a mistake, or at least suboptimal, because it actually makes it easier for my opponent to try and re-attack this road. If Viv gets any road tile, they just put it over here. For example, if we get something like this, and it becomes hard for me to block this connection because this square is so much constricted. So let's say if we get a sequence like this tile over here, they put it over here, and then on the next move they get a city with a road, then, you know, they can both claim back their road, block my meeple entirely over here, and even grab a 6-point field. Another move that I could have considered is this, trying to connect all my roads, and at the same time equalize this city over here. Such a move would, of course, have to be played with a meeple on a city, because there's still 1, 2, so there are 3 triangles with the road left, and I cannot leave this chance to my opponent. And, you know, it would make it fairly easy to complete the road, which would give me lots of meeple back to my hand. I would get to cash in on those road points, and then I would probably be able to fight for the field. Now, the reason why I didn't do this move, I felt that I can exploit this meeple a little bit better, not just equalize it, but still try and block it from above. And also, this road at the moment, it's not particularly dangerous. I mean, it's not particularly precarious, so I'm not in big danger of losing these road points. And finally, a move like this would connect all the fields and would add this city cap, and then it would add this city into Viv's field. And even though I get my road points, I feel that they could get ahead in the field fight and potentially win it and gain back the advantage that they lost on the road over here. I mean, overall, this is not a bad move at all. It's definitely a decent move, but I also had another task that I needed to do with this tile, just clean up a city cap, also endanger this meeple a little bit more. So get a +1, you know, never hurts to do that. And now that I have all the meeples, and Viv has this 15-point field over here, and I can start fighting back for it. By the way, the reason why I didn't fight for it before, I didn't quite address it, I think, this far in the video, but it's just, I always either didn't have enough meeples, or I had other tasks, like, you know, fighting for this road and completing this city and all kinds of other things. So I made other useful moves, and generally it's not a So it's not a problem at all that I'm leaving this 15-point field over here, and it's possible to fight for it later than necessary. But now if you look at this, the field's worth 15 points, and the roads over here are worth in total 17 points, I think. So actually, these road meeples, they perfectly balance these this field meeple, and I'm ahead in the scoreboard already. I have +1 meeple, so the position is looking pretty good for me. Now Viv, anticipating me fighting for the field, puts another meeple over here. That's an interesting move because it does not attack this field directly, which I'm not sure is the best decision. But it puts it in a flexible position, is that Viv can either start a small field over here and maybe put a splitter tile and get 9 points in the future with a separate field. Or if I choose to attack, then Viv can get back-to-back monasteries or some sort of roads to connect over here. So this move has certain flexibility. Probably what I would have done, ideally I would want to wait until yellow, in this case me, attacks the field and then put the second meeple, but this is perfectly reasonable. Another move that deserved attention was putting this monastery over here and just hoping to cash on road points if Viv manages to draw something for this. Now we get the city with a road, and we have a range of options again because we're in a similar situation. But one more important change happens with this tile. This is the last tile of its kind, the city with a left turn, because here's one and here's one. So this means that this spot has become even more vulnerable. So if I get a straight road, for example, then this meeple will be completely trapped. And of course, because all the starting tiles are out, I can still trap it with 2 moves over here. I know this move is something that I chose not to do for the reasons I already described. You know, didn't want to make this road too vulnerable, and I just did this. So knowing that this meeple is now under great danger, I create 2 blocking squares. If I get a straight line, for example, that Viv has now, then I can both complete my 19-point road, which would have been the longest road that I ever had in my life by far. And I also get a blocking square over here, so anything that I can put in over here would result in this meeple being trapped. And there's still plenty of triangles left to complete this city over here. Well, now Viv manages to get one of the 3 remaining straight lines and saves his meeple, sort of, kind of. Now Viv has 3 tiles that suit him very well. That would be the city with the crossroads. And the 4th one, well, that would be interesting, is that if Viv draws one of those, then if he places it over here, then he traps his own meeple, but he also traps all my other meeples. So it's kind of a mutual destruction. And this would satisfy me, because if Viv gets one of these tiles, this means that he doesn't put it over here, and it also means that he doesn't get this meeple back, and he doesn't get to add 3 more points for a city to his field. And even though I get these 3 meeples trapped, overall in this knot, I would have like a +16 advantage with 3 meeples trapped versus 2 meeples trapped, and that's something I'm perfectly happy with. I hope you can still follow me, but it's an interesting situation because it's not quite clear who wants this tile, Dorito, as the Mexicans call it, with the road. And to be honest, it didn't happen in the game. Like, nobody drew this, but I wish they did, and that'll be interesting. So at the moment, I'm of course starting an attack on this city. I think it's the best move in the position, because, you know, if I just get anything over here, then this meeple becomes completely trapped, just because this spot is so vulnerable because of lack of this tile. But just in time, Viv gets the salvation. And, you know, it's also serves me well. I've already pre-joined this. Now I have a dilemma, because I need the same tile for two things. It would be nice to join the city, because otherwise Viv can grow it with some big tiles, and there are plenty of those, and block it. And also, it's a fairly blockable connection, given that this square city with 4 sides are already out, so there's just more option to block this. So that's one move to consider. I did not want to create too much variance in the position, because I felt that I was ahead, and I figured that I would first of all take care of my own city, and then join later. And as you see, you know, if had I joined over here, Viv would probably started an attack on my city, and then perhaps made this meeple completely trapped. But of course now, you know, I kind of had to pick my poison. Either I save this spot or I save this spot, and then Viv starts to build around with the intention to trap my meeple. I get the city, I get the monastery, and make a fairly obvious move, scoring 2 points over here. Of course, I could have considered a fight for the field, but it is not necessary at the moment. So remember, this stuff over here, that's all worth 18 points. And if I complete it, and so far there's a very good chance of that happening, because there's still 3 of these guys in the game, and there are 2 straight lines as well. So I get 5 finishing tiles, and 2 of them come with a complete block. So I don't necessarily need to create further variance. And remember, if I start attacking this field, I commit a meeple, I put myself at a meeple disadvantage. Not something that I want to do without necessity. But another interesting advantage from this move is that it creates a remarkable situation where there's no room to score free road points. There's just, let's say if you get a crossroads, or if you get one of these tiles, there's just nowhere to put it. And what this does is that it makes this kind of tile much more useful for me than it is for Viv, because if Viv gets one of these crossroads, he would just have to dump it somewhere, or okay, maybe perhaps put it here, just trying to pre-build the road for his city. But if I get this tile, then I put it over here, so it has immense value to me. Conversely, if I put the monastery somewhere else, let's say here, then if Viv draws the crossroad, he would have potential value in the form of 2 points over here. It's actually a generally useful thing how to think in Carcassonne, is the value of future tiles. If you can create a situation in which for the potential tiles that you draw, or for the majority of the tiles that you could possibly draw, you would get more value than your opponent, you can claim, you can significantly increase your win percentage. But yeah, Viv, of course, starts blocking. This point is fairly sensitive, and I have to defend myself. Not a very strong defense, but there's still 6 tiles that fit over here. 3 of them are ideal. These cities with the crossroads, and 3 of them are okay. These cities like this, Doritos with a road. Now Viv starts building around, disallowing the connection over here, which I really wanted to do. So I make the only possible move in the position, the possible reasonable move in the position, just continue my city. All the other moves basically help my opponent. And also this starts pre-building a road next to my city, which is a good thing to have. Viv can start a blocking attempt, of course, a good move. An alternative was connecting over here and then trying to harass, well, not harass, actually significantly reduce my chances of completion over here. But I think it's the best move, because this is a pretty important threat. If Viv can manage to get this, what is it, like 8-1 advantage, he would have pretty good chances in his game. So again, I make the only logical move, just scoring points for the roads. I can't save this spot. And Viv gets a crossroads and blocks this spot over here, which is not ideal. But, you know, I did get some benefit from it. For example, because Viv was building stuff over here, he didn't attack my city just yet. Also, he didn't take the 2 points from the crossroads. So, you know, things are not bad. Now I get a nice tile, and so I have to go over here. I even commit my last meeple for a variety of reasons, but one is just I don't want to give free city caps to Viv at this point, and also I have plenty of places where I can lift my meeples. Well, this being one, this one, and this road over here. You know, nobody cancelled my then 5, now 4 tiles that I can use for completion. And another thing that you can consider when deciding whether to place your last meeple or not is not only how soon you can get your meeple back, which in my case is probably soon enough, but also how likely are you to lose value. And in this case, I'm not super likely to lose a lot of value, because there are not many tiles for which I need a meeple. So let's say if I draw any road tile, you know, I would have to dump it in any case. If I draw, well, unless it's the road tile that fits here, of course, but I don't need the meeple for that either. If I draw one of the big city tiles, again, it's not something where I would put my meeple. With a big city tile, I would have to dump it somewhere. If I draw a monastery, well, then that's something where I could put my meeple, but probably not, because there's a 6-point monastery spot, but there aren't really spots for monasteries that can be completed easily. So, in fact, I don't really need the last meeple immediately, so there are no quick points to be scored. Of course, I will need a meeple back eventually, but I am not likely to lose a lot of value because of this move. Anyway, Viv, of course, attacked my city over here, and I have a tile that I don't have much use for. And so I decided to make this move. Now, why this move? I think it's pretty interesting, because it creates a sort of a standoff situation. This is the 8th curve in the game, so which means that there is one more left. So there's a 50-50 chance of this hole being filled. And depending on the situation, this tension can be resolved in 2 ways. Either if I decide to fight for this field, I can use the sensitivity of the square to block off the red's connection, or if I decide not to fight for this field, I can, and if I get to draw the last remaining curve, then I can connect this meeple to this field and make sure that red loses his 3 points, because that city won't be scored twice. And of course, depending on the runouts, I might need one or the other, and the same applies to Viv. You know, for example, if red were to draw the curve, they would have to face a tough decision. Okay, do they actually lose the 3 points right now and secure the field, or do they block off their own connection? Of course, Viv starts attacking both of my cities, and they look quite vulnerable, and I don't get a tile to defend, and that's why I place the city over here. Again, I still want to maintain this tension and just make sure that there's no connection from this side, but I leave the 50-50 chance to either myself or for my opponent to use this. Okay, Viv the first one to get what they need. And they even placed a meeple over here to make sure that I do not get some road points for this situation. And also, if they draw the tile that I just drew, especially if it comes without the field, then they get to continue my city and get the points for the road themselves, and then possibly block my city a little bit later. So now that I get this tile, of course I'm not going to put over here. I'm not going to give so many road points to my opponent. Instead, I'm just going to continue and at the same time protect my own city. So I'm in a situation where I need a city with a field over here and I need a city with a road over here. So I need different tiles in different places. That's an important Carcassonne principle. Now I get a bit lucky that it comes to me so soon. Possibly I would normally expect to take a little bit longer. Viv gets another tile that I need and just scores 2 points, and at the same time make sure that this connection spot is not available, and at the same time sets up themselves for a combo. Because if they draw a city with a road or a city with a crossroads, then they get to score not 2 but 3 points for the road and the city. Generally, if you have a ruin, it's a very good idea to have a little piece of finished road sticking into it, because you get to develop your ruin with extra value from the road points. And Viv, as the strongest player in France, of course knows this. Now that I get a straight line, I don't hesitate to save my city over here. I definitely don't want to give my opponent the opportunity to draw one of the 2 remaining tiles and get his meeple back while leaving my meeple stranded over here. And if nothing fits over here, I'm super happy, because in this meeple mini battle I get a 3-2-2 advantage. That's just ideal. So much so that Viv could even consider placing this tile here themselves, thus scoring 4 points for this road and 3 points for this road, and giving me 8 points for the city. So that would leave me with the same +1 advantage in this mini battle, but that was just make sure that I don't get those road points and also return the meeples. Overall, I think Viv did the correct move, just by grabbing 4 points and simply hoping that I don't get this tile. And yeah, it makes sense, you know, because they are trailing behind a little bit and then they need to take risks. So now finally I get one of the tiles that fit in here, the last remaining crossroads. And until that moment, the game was actually quite close. I think I was only at +1 and we were equal on meeples. But with this, I think I'm at +5. I just added some ridiculous number, I think 13, 7, and 2, yeah, 22 road points to my scoreboard, which far exceeds this field over here. And even though my advantage is fairly small because of this field and this city, it's something like +5. I have a meeple advantage until the end, and it's going to be very hard for Viv to do something. But I think all is not lost. All Viv needs to do is just get a little bit lucky, draw the quick point tiles, you know, maybe add a city to his field if possible, preserve these 3 points, try to fight off any attacks, just go for any moves that increase points. So in this case, the correct move for Viv was, of course, going over here and scoring 4 points for the roads and then hoping that he'd get more quick points. But instead, Viv makes a decisive mistake here. I'm really not sure why they did that. Finishing this city and meepling a 6-point field. So instead of taking 4 points without a meeple, they choose to take 6 points with a loss of a meeple. So paying a whole meeple for a difference in 2 points. Now, I also saw their logic that sometimes you do this kind of thing if you want to decrease variance, because it was possible for somebody to attack this city over here from this side and then hope for a tile just like this to make the connection. But given that Viv was behind, it was in their interest to actually preserve the variance on the board and give themselves some chances. And also with these with this tile, they created not only the 6-point field, but this 9-point field over here. And of course, I am going to place there with, you know, absolutely any tile, like whichever one comes next, and I get these 9 points. So if anything, Viv, instead of getting 4 points over here and still having a chance to take over a city and have some variance in the position that they desperately need, effectively made an exchange of -3 points. And it's only at this point when the game is sealed. Before that, it could have really gone other way. So nice tile for our opponent. Let's just have a look until the end. I have 4 meeples to spend, and of course I'm just going to invest a meeple in every move quite generously. So for example, this one, now I fight for the field, but not so much for the sake of fighting over the fields, but just to, first of all, get 3 points. It's not that I can get any more points per move normally with the tiles remaining. And also distract my opponent a little bit and maybe force them to connect over here. So now they reduce my chances of connection to 50%. They get a little bit lucky still, then meeple this monastery. So now I even tied this field, giving me like a 20-point lead or 20-something point lead. Well, now they get the 4 points. I don't really get a useful tile. I can't really block this connection, so I just have to do something. Well, I decided to take a 3-point field. Now Viv manages to win back this field, but it doesn't matter because this meeple did its job. It just induced Viv to lose their 3 points. So this meeple ended up earning me 3 points, which is perfectly fine for the end of the game. And now this is the situation where I did quite a silly mistake. So of course it doesn't matter, because the game has been sealed for a few moves or so. But in my last 2 moves, I scored only 4 points because I did, well, I'll tell you what I did in a second. But in this position, there's a way, to guarantee yourself 8 points. So maybe let's make it into a little puzzle for you. So pause the video, find the correct move with this tile. 3, 2, 1. So that's really a tile counting exercise, because if I reveal the tiles remaining to you on the screen, and these are these tiles, and of course you see that the correct move is going over here for a 100% connection. I didn't see that at the time. I just went conservative, added 1 point to my monastery. Then my opponent got a city tile. Then I got a city tile. And the game was over. So while the points are being counted, let's just do a quick summary. I wanted to share this game because it has a very unusual imbalance for me. So this roads ended up being equal to this field, and it's common to have field versus monasteries imbalance. Sometimes it's common to have a field versus big city imbalance, but field versus long road, it's very rare. And in this case, in order to capitalize on this, we had to be very patient and not attack the field until the very last moment. Because the thing is, in these, if you want to win these imbalance positions, whichever side you're on, if they're too big features, such as big field versus monasteries or big field versus big city, the side that tries to win both ways usually loses. And so I think we both did the right thing. I went for the road and Viv went for the field, and we kept it close until 8 tiles remaining, until my opponent's first mistake that ended up finishing the game. Another interesting thing to look at is, after you finish your game, if you want to grow as a player, whatever the point difference is, just look back in the game and find what was the source of your victory, what was the source of your defeat, like what ended up winning the game. And in this case, the feature that won the game was this central city over here. So here's why. Well, the big feature, the roads versus field, that's the imbalance, right? The monasteries compensate each other. And we had some quick points here and there, 2-point roads, 4-point city, that all roughly compensate each other. So the main difference is that my opponent got +7 over here with this construction, but I got something like +18 over here with this city. And that's the game-winning feature right here. And all I had to do after this is just make sure that everything keeps balanced, that the meeple count is roughly the same, that things are more or less equal after this. And yeah, the difference ended up being fairly small. So very good outcome for this. And also our opponent played really well until that one last move over here. So it was quite a nice win to have going into the second round, and not the second round, but in the second game of the match. A reminder, it's a best-of-3 duel. And I'll tell you about the second game probably in a couple of days. Stay tuned for more Carcassonne comment coming right up, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.